Okay, thank you very much, Joseph, and for African in London TV, which is become very close to the World Association for Sustainable Development. All the projects and the initiatives, I know we said this many times, but all of the projects and the initiatives we have done in our diaspora project, your channel and yourself have been very close to most of the things we have done for many years. And I remember at Geneva when Dr. Petro Dimitriou said this is one of the best diaspora projects. I wish you were there. And when we went for the break, I said to him, I really want you one day in London to meet the people who have supported us. So you have supported the work we have been doing, not just in Africa, but for the diaspora, for many, many years. So thank you very much. And it's no surprise you're also very keen to come today to QMUL University to see this here by yourself. What we are doing today, this is the second time we are very delighted to have Professor Bakri Saeed, the president of the Association of African Universities, visiting the university and also meeting colleagues here. I know you're going to talk to them, but it's been an ongoing discussion, and I'm very pleased we are becoming very closer to our colleagues, friends from Africa, researchers, academics, and most importantly, the students and the general public. Because at the end of the day, we really want to help the Africans, women, fathers, mothers, children, and this is what the end result, I think, should be of any academic or any institution. Now, going back to Africa, when this organization started back in 1999 and then 2000, 2001, 2003, some of us, like myself, I'm originally from Sudan. Professor Sonny Nawankwa, he's originally from Nigeria. He was the director of research at University of East London. I'm just remembering few names, and I'm not going to mention all of them. Dr. Rihab Tawfiq from the University of Westminster. He's one of the distinguished academics in nutrition. He had designed, I remember, with a team from Ghana and University of Greenwich, they have developed some kind of formula where it was tested in Ghana and other African countries. That was even he was invited to Harvard Medical School, because what they do, they have a formula. They go to any local community in Africa or anywhere, and they will ask the local community, what do you grow here? Millet, sorghum, and their formula will produce a very nutritive product for kids from whatever you produce locally. So this is all, there's lots of people involved with Africa when we started. So I'm just mentioning a few names. But when we started, we were very much bonded with Africa. We were very keen to help Africa. The first thing we did, we campaigned back in 1999 for many years on making all the scientific publications available free of charge for any institution and individual in Africa. And I'm very pleased to say that when I was invited to the Westminster Education Forum, I was being asked how the UK has been doing, and I was able to report back. This is 5 years ago. We can now confidently say people can click on the PDF we produce here and they will download it. They don't need a computer. They don't need to be in the university, in their mobile phones, in Western Sudan like Darfur, in a war zone, women's even in a camp. All they need is just a normal mobile. We try to use a very simple technology. Africa was in our heart and minds about what we're doing things. Number two, which is very important, we didn't start this journey from the UK or from the US or from other parts of the developed world, although we are very much close to Africa, but we started this journey with Africans, indigenous Africa from inside Africa. Again, I'm not going to mention lots of names, but we have our colleague from Sudan, from South Africa. Just remember one, because one of the founding members from South Africa, Professor Lainetti Louis, she used to be at the University of Port Elizabeth, then now it became Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. She moved again, but all this journey, she was giving us the voice as an example from Africa, from University of Abadan, from Sudan, from Egypt, Cairo University. There's so many people from Zimbabwe. I remember we work very closely with the African Capacity Building Foundation, which I can see that the Association of African Universities is also one of their key partners. And we have people from Sierra Leone, they work with us. We have people from Uganda. I am very proud to say we have a very strong entire school, as an example. Now, working very closely, they publish with us, they review papers, they contribute to conference. I'm just giving them an example. Makerere University in Uganda. This is an entire school now, headed by Professor Joseph Natai. They are working very closely with WSD in all fronts. When we have a discussion on COVID, they brought their expert entrepreneurship. So they enrich even the publications and the review of the journal. So imagine a whole school. In Sudan, we have worked with lots of institutions, including universities, and I will just mention one here. Dr. Sarah Saad, for example, from the National Research Center. She's been doing lots of work on climate change, desertification, and so on and so on. And we've been very close with Africa. We consult them. And what we have been doing now, and which I'm very pleased, we're going to carry this work with the Association of African University. We have put all this thinking behind our designing this platform to connect all African universities together. So we want them to be involved. We want them to lead this initiative. Yes, we are helping them. We have better internet services. We don't have a problem with electricity. But in terms of us and them, we are equally the same. They are no less than us academically or intellectually, or their capability is the same like us. It's just they are being hindered by the natural difficulties the whole African continent is struggling with. I have said this a couple of times, and the last time I said this was in an energy conference at the University of Oxford, attended by ministers and many people involved in renewable energy in Africa. And all of them, they agreed with me. And what was that they agreed with me? Africa's major challenge is electricity. Electricity is the major challenge for the entire continent. So our colleagues in Africa, they are struggling the same like any other sector in Africa with electricity. So we have electricity here. We never had a power cut. We have the internet here. But I think overall, we want them to drive this. So number one, we want them to decide. We listen to them while we are designing this platform. What kind of items need to be there? What shall be shared? What we are not sharing? What is the protocol? How are you dealing with this? How do you access the internet there? We are very keen to listen from the senior people working with us about what is the average academic is struggling with. So when we talk to Professor Joseph Natai, a distinguished African scholar, is with us, he is very well connected. We always asking him not what he is able to do, but what others are able to do. So we therefore learn an average academic in Africa, what is the struggle, and so on and so forth. So when we're designing this, we want to be able to help them improve what they do. We don't want to take their resources and share them in a database outside the UK. Many trials by the big institutions have failed in the past because the aim was massive, to move the data, to move the resources, the publications out of these universities and put them in a large server or somewhere, a database outside in Europe or where we have good data or data centers. That's not what we are doing here. We want to help universities to build their own ICT or infrastructure or capability of sharing information. And we do have examples. Just give you one example from Sudan. In Sudan, there is a research center called Mycetoma Research Centers. It's number one in the world. It's recognized by the World Health Organization. Even the Secretary General of the United Nations went and visited, I think, 2 years ago before COVID. This center, if you go to the website of this center, which is in Sudan, you find everything the same like you are browsing Queen Mary Medical School. You can browse the staff, you can see their CVs, you can see their publications, you can see journal papers. You can click and see. So this is just an example of one center where everything they produced is readily available at a click of a button. So what we want to help those who they are still not in that stage, to help them to make their information and their knowledge available in their website. And what we are then doing is to connect their centers with the other centers in Africa, so they can learn from each other, and we learn from them what they are doing. Because I can give you the example, in the UK, anyone in the NHS here, if you go to a doctor and he suspects you got anything to do with this disease, illness or infection called mycetoma, in the British, if you like, medical guidelines for the GPs in our country here, there is something called patient.co.uk. If you click on that website, some GPs, they print, if you go, you have anything, they will print some details about the illness. They say you can read more about this here. If they suspect of anything to do with this mycetoma, you will find in the patient.co.uk, the epidemiology reference in the UK was to that center in Sudan. So the science and the technology and the capability of some research centers in Africa, they are being cited as the main reference for epidemiological, if you like, assessment of something in the United Kingdom. That is there. Anyone can go and check it. And I'm sure there's many others across many centers in Kenya and Uganda. We have in entrepreneurship and business and management, I have seen papers written in Europe talking about entrepreneurship and climate change, so made reference to some of the work done at Makerere University. So we have no question about that. We have first-class research happening in Africa. Number one, we need to make sure this first-class work is there in their own website. Number two, we have the capability and the understanding and the know-how to help them and to push their understanding of how this can happen within Africa. Money is always the issue, funding. And in that one, we're taking the approach we adopted in 2018 with the United Nations Joint Inspection Unit in Geneva. We have held a big forum for 4 days. It's called Public-Private Partnership for the Implementation of Sustainable Development Goals, where the whole private sector from all over the world, including the UN Habitat from Kenya, they all agreed the private sector, they have a key role to play in helping countries achieving sustainable development. So what we're going to drive with the support of the United Nations and their engagement with us, particular example is Kenya, where the UN Habitat, UN Environment Program, George and all this team there, we want them to work with them to encourage private sector in every single African countries to support their university. We will say to them, support them in very basic stuff like electricity by providing them with generators, giving them some support to fund good internet, because if there is internet, we can then talk to them. Like the work, I'm sure Professor Farida will talk to you about satellite teaching and all that thing. There's lots of work Professor Farida and others they have done. All this need internet, simple internet. So we're going to argue this on behalf of the African universities with the private sector. And the case is already being made in 2018. And then I went to Sudan, we had a big round table, and I remember the Kenyan ambassadors, the government, and UNDP supported that. We went to Morocco, we went to Bahrain. That was a global one, not just about Africa. But everyone in all these countries agreed the private sector should really support the efforts of the country to achieve the SDGs. That's of no doubt. So we want to use that work we have done to encourage private sector in African countries. Tell you an example, Egypt, for example. Some Egyptian companies are leading companies in what they do across the world. This, I can't remember that's the exact word, but the second world producer of, this where you make the bomb and put fish, you grow fish in artificial bombs. Guess what? The leading countries, one of them is Egypt, one is Saudi Arabia, across developing countries. I'm very interested to find cases of where a leader is not from a developed country. Egypt is one of them. Then this company will be very rich. I wish they can become the richest country. They can support universities in Egypt. And I really praise the best country so far I have seen. They have done all of this. Egypt, they have connected all their universities with British university. Every single Egyptian university is either in the process or have already done that. So I know that things can happen in Africa, but we need to support them. And that's why we're bringing the best expertise worldwide to be involved in this. I don't want to mean WASD has many of those people, but we want non-WASD also to join us. But the people who have been supporting bringing Africa knowledge and science and technology up with us here in the development, many of them. Mention few, you might have met them in our conferences. Professor Beverly Anderson, she used to be the Dean of the Business School in California. She has always argued for sustainable development to happen. You need to get equal footing. You need to support people, not necessarily with money, but with the capacity to reach. In Africa, if you ask me, capacity for any university electricity, internet. That's number one. Number two, if you get this to any African research center, you will make sure they are up with Queen Mary or with King's College or with Harvard, because you will get to the same platform. The platform is the internet. That's where investment is, money is there, and it's not very expensive. Things are becoming continuous available. So just to summarize, we are very keen to work, we are very happy to work with the Association of African Universities, but I really send my message to all African universities. Yes, we've been privileged to know Professor Bakri, we are very excited. We have met him to work with them, yes, but we want to go beyond that. I know they sound, and I really don't know how many universities in Africa, but I'm 100% sure there's thousands of them. So I know the Association of African Universities, they got around 500 universities. We want any universities to come forward. And we want to make sure that all African universities, they approach us. And maybe it's an also opportunity, they know about this, and then maybe we also encourage them to join, because the Association of African University is a proper association, as Professor Bakri said, it's a gateway for higher education in Africa. So what even this relationship will do, the Association of African Universities, they will learn and they will be introduced to some African university already not a member of the association, but they are very active with us. So there will be lots of benefit here. We want the expert to be shared. Give you example within Africa. We have Professor Jamaluddin from Tunisia. He's a well-distinguished academic, graduated from Montreal. He used to be the vice chancellor. He used to be the minister of sustainable development in Tunisia. Well-known academic and, if you like, scholar in sustainable development in developing countries. He's Tunisian. He speaks Arabic and French. He can help many other African countries, whether because of his language, he can talk to those countries which they speak French. With his knowledge, he can help others. So you don't need really to have someone flying out of Africa to help Africa. If you look to Sony, the first scholar to write about African marketing is Professor Sonny Nwanko. He's Nigerian, yes, he is British, he's here. As far as I know, Sonny is one of the first 7 or 8 founders of the Chartered Institute of Marketing in Scotland now. We have people like this, they can help. There's so many people. Professor Lainetti Lowy, I mentioned earlier, from South Africa. She got 2 textbooks for management by Oxford University, taught in universities. She's a South African, she's in South Africa. We use their books. Those people's books are being used to teach students in the United Kingdom. So this is what we're trying to do. We talked about this for many years, but we wanted to really make a real move, and we can help. I'm glad many of the things we argued for many years ago, they are happening now. Open access has become more of like an enforcement in all British universities. If you publish for the last 6-7 years, I think now, you publish in the UK, you have to make sure it's open access. That's what we argued 20 years ago. So we're glad many things happen. So we want to really push for that. One thing we want to happen here, with the support of Professor Bakri and all his association, we want, as maybe stage 2 or 3, all those universities, members of the AAU, all their publications, we know how, we would like to help them to make them international. So if there is a medical journal published by Nigerian university or Sudanese or Ghanaian university, we want those to move to become international journals. So they will be no different than the British Journal of Political Science. And I have argued this in the European Union twice, and it received lots of response. And my argument was very simple. I said to them, if you go to the British Journal of Politics and International Relations, that argument is still in EU available. I said to them, if you go to the British Journal of Politics and International Relations, which is led by Nottingham University, the entire editorial board is British. So there's no question, because it's about British affairs. But if you go to the African Affairs, which is published by Oxford, the editors are not Africans. Half of the editorial board is not African. Okay. Are they not capable? They are capable. So this is another thing we also want. Yeah. There's much we want to achieve, but we go step by step.
That's it. I know I can. If I let you talk, you can talk for 6 months without stopping. So thank you very much.